Thank you for tuning in to a very special edition of Potpourri. I'm your host, Janet Barksdale. Today we have some very special guests in the studio. We have some of Clark Atlanta's own students who are part of an amazing initiative that President Obama has started. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking. Could you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you and how you got involved with the program.
Well, my name is Charlene Migwe. I was born and raised in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm 24 years old, and I have been in IT, software development, for 3 years, where I started a company when I was in university, where I saw the need of measures to help with water conservation, electricity, and just managing African resources. So we came up with different software applications, mobile applications for different water companies for all over Africa, where we help them manage their resources. So in other words, conserve the environment back at home.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great initiative.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that took a lot of work. You know, what type of work did you have to really put into creating that?
Okay, the biggest problem I have basically is being a young entrepreneur. And luckily for me, I became an entrepreneur in IT, where IT is growing in Kenya, and there are very many young people who are getting into IT in Kenya. So I've had a lot of help from the different incubation centers, different people in the corporate world, and they've helped me push for the solution further and further. So it's been a great experience.
That sounds like an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to talk with you definitely, the initiative, YALI. Can you tell me what that stands for?
YALI stands for Young Africa Leaders Initiative. It was launched by President Obama, where he was trying to bring young African leaders from all over sub-Saharan Africa to come together to discuss issues, to learn more about the American culture, American way, and take it back home and implement new strategies in their own countries.
Okay. Now, this program, I know that Clark Atlanta is one out of 20 universities that are involved, so that's a pretty big deal. And there's 25 students in this program, so what was the selection process like?
Funny enough, I was told about the application was online, and my friend from Nigeria told me about it.
Oh.
And we applied. There are different links all over, but there's a YALI website where you follow a particular link and you go through different kind of questions. They ask you really good questions like the initiatives you've been in and what you plan to do when you, after the program, which is 6 weeks, what you plan to do when you get back home. So in Africa, we had 50,000 applications, and they only chose 500 people. But then luckily enough, if those, it's still a network. So everyone who applies is still part of the YALI network, and we plan to work together when we go back home to come up with different initiatives together.
That's exciting. So what are some of your plans, some of the things that you've learned as you've been going through this process with the program? What are you planning to take back with you?
Well, the good thing with the program, I've met everyone from every sector, because I met people from the government. We met Mayor Kasim Reed. Yeah, we've met a lot of people from the corporate world, such as IBM, from Invest Atlanta. We've also met people who are in your water sector, who are implementing really good technology. And from putting all this together, I've seen the power of innovation, not only just in the private sector, but public and private sector working together to bring development in a particular area. So when I go back, I definitely want to expand my growth throughout the whole of Africa, work with governments, work in the private sector, come up with new innovative ways to conserve and manage our resources such as water.
Okay, well that sounds amazing, and I just absolutely love what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
It's a really good thing. Now, just looking at the program, you know, President Obama, of course, his stamp of approval is on it. How has that felt for you? Like, what is it? It's like, what has really, you know what I mean? I mean, it's just an amazing honor.
Yeah, true.
So, how has that made you feel?
It's been unbelievable, not just for the fact that it's President Obama, but Clark Atlanta has treated us like royalty. We've felt different. We felt a lot of support. I even have some of the professors who will be helping me when I go back home, because I also do a lot of mentorship and training for the youth. So helping me with curriculums and just feeling like royalty around the Americans. And we've been to places where people in Atlanta have not been to themselves. So it's really touched my heart for the process I've gone through and how people here have really treated me.
Okay. And where do you see yourself as a young entrepreneur in the next 5 years?
The next 5 years, I think I will be in African states. It'll be where I have solutions, software solutions and applications that can be applied in different African states and different economies. So I'm hoping to impact more countries other than my own country in managing their resources and also empowering the youth.
Wow. And I'm just so amazed by the work that you guys are doing. And you've mentioned a lot of things that you've done in terms of building your programs and things of that nature. What do you love the most about it? What's your main area of expertise?
Funny enough, I like the thrill of it. I like the fact that I'm a very patriotic person. I love my country, Kenya. And I love the fact that as a young person who's just 24, I've been given an opportunity to change how things run in our country and work with people, influential people and other corporates, where I'm able to see the change that I'm doing. So once I see that change, it's what pushes me every day to keep doing what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's definitely setting an example, you know, for people your age and younger, and even those that are older, you know, to look and see the work that you guys are doing.
True.
And you're making such an impact.
Thank you.
Well, I just definitely want to thank you so much for coming and continue your great work that you're doing. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We'll be right back with Potpourri.
Up to 40% of businesses never recover after experiencing a major disaster. Make a plan at ready.gov/business.
We're back with more Potpourri. Today we've been talking to our very special guests that are part of the YALI program here at Clark Atlanta University. And we have another student here with us. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Andrew Amara, and I'm an architect and an urban planner from Uganda.
Okay.
Yes.
Now tell us, how did you get involved with this initiative?
About 6 months back, or probably 7 months back, I saw a notice for a program in the US that is to train young African leaders. And at that time, the discussion amongst the peers was that this program is really good. And for people at that level of your career where you're about to launch into running your own institution, it's really a good program to encourage entrepreneurship and business. So that's how I applied for it through the website, the US program website.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what is your track? You know, I was reading about the program and there's a few different tracks that you could come under. So what is your concentration?
My concentration is really on business and entrepreneurship. The entire program has 3 tracks. One is on public management,
Okay.
one is on civic leadership, and the third is business and entrepreneurship. I'm at a point where I want to run an organization where I can bring professionals, that's engineers and architects, and get them to deliver services to an underprivileged group that hasn't yet been targeted. And I'm looking to build a business model that allows these professionals to be paid, even though they are serving a community that can't afford their services. And so I think the program in business and leadership is quite unique in that sense, because it allows me to test and look at which model is going to work here back home.
Okay, so how did you even get involved in saying, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to make a difference? What was the turning point for you in that?
I think when I finished my training, my architectural professional training, I did some work with the fairly big firms back home in Uganda, and you do routine projects like 7-story apartment buildings or 10-story commercial centers or a ranch or a hotel. And so it's really flashy and glossy, but back home, I mean, in every neighborhood, the challenges are different. You have challenges of housing that is comfortable for people. You have challenges of water supply. We have problems like, for example, when it rains in the capital city, it floods. If there's a heavy downpour, the entire setup floods. You have challenges of energy and power. So the challenges are different, and yet I was trying to do nice and glossy. So I went back to a school to retool myself and try and soften all these architectural and nice ideas and try and make them relevant for the communities that I'm serving. And it's with that philosophy that I've begun my architectural practice and urban planning practice. So looking at this program in the US, this program at Clark Atlanta, it's kind of helping me to set up my working approach and see how I can grow and expand these services and try and spread them to the rest of the country, but also in the same region. Yeah, and quite interestingly is that the modules that we're being shown they're very relevant, and also the way the program is being run, it's an experiential process. You get to meet other business leaders in Atlanta, because we've gone to a variety of big corporations. Atlanta hosts a number of the big organizations like CNN headquarters are here, UPS is settled in here, Delta has their headquarters here, and we've had the privilege of being able to go and meet the CEOs and see how they run the institutions, see how they run logistics, see how they network, and see how they're trying to push frontiers. So that is a very good way of learning from those who are actually doing it.
That's an amazing way of learning.
Yes.
And I mean, and that's really hands-on experience, and that's what you need.
Yes, that's very true. Because it's quite impressive the way Atlanta is tackling things of sustainability. You tend to be a city that is progressive, although you have your challenges, but there's several good examples. For example, if you look at the water facility that we visited the other day, they are trying to encourage sustainable use of water. When you take a bath, don't just leave the tap for ages, try and time the way you bathe. Or we went to the airport, we visited the airport, and the way they are using stones from Zimbabwe to make the travel experience much better. You're walking through a terminal in the airport, but your travel experience is changed because of this art that you're looking at. We also had a chance to meet the mayor of Atlanta, and he was telling us the programs that they have for the city. For example, they have this tram that they're building, trying to encourage people to walk around. They have the green belt line. So those are progressive ways of building a city and a neighborhood. So there are lots of things that one can learn from being in a city like Atlanta.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's definitely thriving and growing, you know, and it's all about efficiency.
That's true.
And that's what I gather from you. You're wanting to encapsulate that and take a lot of that back with you.
Yeah, that's very true.
Okay.
Yeah, because right now, well, as about several years back, about 5 years back, in 2007, a majority of the world's population became majority urban population. So initially, the world was mainly rural, but now you have more and more people are settling in cities. And you find that in places like Africa, we have many of the fast-growing mega cities that are coming up. You have cities like Lagos, cities like Nairobi, Johannesburg, and also where I come from, Kampala. I mean, you have this fast-growing urban population that is rushing to the city. So you have all this pressure, and yet we don't have the infrastructure to support these livelihoods. You do not have the systems to support the way they are going to run and to work. So we need to start carefully thinking how we build our cities. And also build our cities in a way that we don't use up our resources, but we use them in a sustainable way. If it is power or energy, we need to be careful how we use our power. So that, we need to look at sustainable ways of using power. If it is water, how do we tap water and store it and keep using it in a meaningful way that even those who come after us can still use the same water? How do you make living spaces comfortable for new generations? So yes, it is a growing challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting, and I'm so glad that you're able to learn so much in this short amount of time, because you guys are going to be done with the program on the 25th of July, correct?
Yes, that's correct. On the 25th of July, we'll wrap up our class sessions, and then we'll have the chance of going to Washington, where we'll have a summit with the president and also other leaders. And also it's a chance for us to meet all the other fellows from who are studying at different institutions. That's also the other beautiful thing about the program. You get to meet all these wonderful individuals from Africa who have brilliant ideas. And you learn so many new things. One example is one of my colleagues uses Twitter to exchange their ideas and try and get funding for their projects, but also networks and finds better ways of getting resource to her project. And that's something new that I didn't know about. And until I came here, then I started learning how to use social media to push your project, to network, and to get in new partners. So there's a lot you learn from there's a lot I'm learning from my fellow African colleagues here.
Okay. I want to thank you so much for sharing your experience. We really appreciate you being here today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here. And hopefully one day you'll come and visit Uganda.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
Yes, thank you too.
Thank you. We'll be right back with more Potpourri. Stay tuned.
Matchsticks, matchbox, matching tie and matching socks. You don't know why, but you're really special to match point, match game. You and I are not the same, but I can tell that you're really special to me. There's something I can give to make you laugh, to help you live. We're the perfect match and you're really special to me. We're the perfect match and you're really special to me.
And we're back with more Potpourri. We have another guest with us today, talking about the YALI initiative here at Clark Atlanta University. Please introduce yourself.
Well, thank you so much for having me. My name is Temitayo Etomi. I'm an attorney from Lagos, Nigeria. Recently defected to marketing, also a bit of a social entrepreneur, and I'm very passionate about the work that, that President Obama is doing with young people in Africa, and I'm very glad to be a beneficiary of some of his initiatives.
So tell me, how did you become involved with the program?
It's a very strange story, really, because someone who wanted to be on the program so badly sent me an email and said to me, this is something that she thinks is going to be beneficial for us both. So we simultaneously applied. And I didn't think much about it, to be honest. I thought it was something really good. But 2-3 months after, I got the call and said, okay, come interview. And so it's sad because she didn't get on the program, and I felt really bad and guilty. But then I did, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Right.
So what was that process like? Was it nerve-wracking, waiting? I mean, was it a long waiting process to find out?
It was a bit of both. First of all, I thought, oh look, there's no chance in the world that I'm going to, to make it, because when I heard that 50,000 people applied, I thought my chances were really low. And then we had about 3 different stages that you had to pass through. So the first thing that you had to do was to submit this application that was so long, and you had to tell them what you had been doing, what you would do when you return to your country, the impact that the program would have on your immediate community. And at the time, I was at a crossroads with my job. I was, just about to transit from my law profession to marketing, and I wasn't very happy with where I was. I was stumped as to what to put forward for the application. But eventually, we got the call, and then we had to do interviews. We had 2 interviews, really tough interviews, because the Americans who came to Lagos to do the interviews didn't smile at all. So it was so nerve-wracking to be across the table from people who I felt were very stern-looking and the whole atmosphere was tense. I left the interview thinking, there's no way in hell I'm going to get the opportunity to be on this program. But I was very happy when I got the call to say I had made it.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
So how has your experience been, and what do you expect to take back with you?
I think first and foremost, so after the interview, we had the allocation to different schools. So the 3 tracks. There's the business and entrepreneurship, there's the public management, and then there's civic leadership. I had initially applied for the civic leadership because I do a lot of work with young people.
Yes.
But then I got transferred to business and entrepreneurship, and then I had to come to Atlanta. My immediate reaction when I had to come to Atlanta was, oh my God, the city with the Real Housewives and the black people, and I just didn't get it.
Right.
I mean, I'd passed through Atlanta in the past, but I hadn't really had any experience. Everything I had perceived of the city was from the great airport, but then from TV with the R&B wives, and it was all reality. So I thought everyone in Atlanta, would be like us. I was really unhappy, I have to be honest, about the fact that people got to go to Berkeley, people got to go to Yale, people got to go to some of the best schools in the US, and I was coming to Atlanta. I think for me, the biggest thing I've learned, or the one thing I can take away from this whole experience, is a massive opening of my mind. I used to say being open-minded is one of the greatest assets that a human being can have. I didn't really understand it.
Yes.
I suspect I used to say because it was fashionable to say those things. But just coming to Atlanta, and I mean the whole city opened its doors to welcome us, from the mayor's office through to the school, Clark Atlanta University, one of the best universities I've ever been to. The people, just education in itself, without necessarily sitting within a classroom, a formal classroom setting. So I think for me, the biggest thing I've learned is to just be open-minded about any opportunity you get, because you really don't know where your truth is going to come from. And so if I had the chance all over again, I'll come to Atlanta. It's one of the best places I've been in the world. It has some of the best people I've met.
Wow, well, I'm so glad, and welcome again.
Thank
We're
you.
so happy that you're here and that you have been able to really shape your experience and gain, more than you thought that you ever would.
Well, absolutely. And I think one of the best ways, actually we have the best program, I'm being biased, but it's the truth, because it's not just focused on classroom learning. There's a lot of experiential learning. So we learned some theories in class, and then the very next day we're going out to practice that at some really top organizations. So you learn something as new in the African context as supply chain management, and the next day we're going to Domino's Pizza to work through the supply chain to understand how the pizza gets from the dough process all the way through to the customer. So the experiential learning aspect of it has been something that has been really been incredible and beneficial to us.
Good, good. Now, I know you mentioned to me that you were transitioning from being an attorney to going into marketing. What prompted that for you?
First of all, I'm a restless soul, a little bit of a restless soul. So I've done law for about 6-7 years, and when you do something as hierarchical as law, it can get very boring and very routine. But you see, one of the things about law is you're selling something, you're selling an idea to someone to say, look, this is my position, this is where I want to be. So that's a bit like marketing, but then we were pretty much marketing theory, and I wanted to do something with the product, to take a product from something that is non-existent and make it something that is big. And so I had to go back to school to try and study a bit of marketing. I did some courses at Columbia Business School. I took some courses at Bristol in London as well. Acquired some skills, and then I established my own marketing practice with the help of some of my mentors. It's been a good experience so far. It's been tough within the climate of the Nigerian environment, which is a very challenging place to do business, but it's also one of the most profitable places to do business as well. So I'm really grateful that I made the transition, basically.
Okay, well, that's so important because, I think we all want that sense of fulfillment. And so what I get from you is that you're saying that's much more fulfilling to you.
Absolutely. It's my passion. I just didn't pick up on it very early. I think if I had, I probably wouldn't have gone through 7 years of law school and wearing black and white and toning down on my personality as much as I have had to.
Okay.
So if you have a passion and a vision, it would always be important to pursue that and follow that through, and try and embrace the possibilities that are within those passions or visions.
Those are very wise words. And I want to thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it, and much continued success to you.
Thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome. And enjoy your duration of your stay here in Atlanta.
We will, and we will definitely be back. So that's something that you can count on.
Great. We'll be right back.
Up to 40% of businesses never recover after experiencing a major disaster. Make a plan at ready.gov/business.
We are back with more Potpourri. Today we have a special guest, and he's also a part of YALI. Would you please introduce yourself?
Thank you for hosting us. My name is Jeroboam Tojaka. I'm from Equatorial Guinea. And I'm currently part of the 2014 Washington Fellowship, which is being hosted by the Clark Atlanta University on the Business and Entrepreneurship track.
Okay, so that's the track that you're focused on. So what exactly do you do?
Really, we have been exposed to the business environment, both in class, because we are having lectures about how to manage finances, how to create business plans, and then when we go to the field, we go and visit companies which will be able to provide us all the information that they are dealing with about their business plans, the supply chain, and how they have partnership with other people. So far, that's what we have been doing in class and outside the class as well.
Okay. So how has your experience been with the program from its inception to where you are now? You're kind of at a midpoint. So how have things been? What have you learned that has really impacted you?
I think so far the program is exceeding my expectations, because before I didn't have any information about the CAU, and as soon as I was appointed to come here, I started searching for information regarding the CAU, but unfortunately I didn't get much information, and I was just coming here to say, okay, this is the place I have been appointed to go, and not knowing that we're going to have an interesting program. The program is very interesting in such a way that you learn from the class, the marketing, the public management as well. We talk about supply chain, which is part of my daily activities that I do as a professional. And then when you go back to the field, you are able to expose yourself to these things that you discuss in the classroom. So that's what is making it very interesting, and we are also happy to be here because I think Clark Atlanta is doing a difference among the other institutions that are hosting this 2014 fellowship.
Well, that's great to hear that you've had such a positive experience. Now, I know that you guys have been going out and, you know, going to different businesses, understanding their supply chain processes, so many different things. What has stood out the most to you?
I wouldn't say there is something special because everything is special so far to me, because I gain different experiences from the different business people and the business which is being carried out here in Atlanta. We visited the Business League where we're able to get to know how businesses can come together to create opportunities among themselves. It's something that we don't have in country in Equatorial Guinea. It's something that I have learned, and how to also raise like funding for you to be able to carry out a project. I think that's the very thing important that I've already learned from this program, and it's positive to me. When I go back, I'll be able to try and implement something regarding that.
Okay. So after the 25th, after you guys go up to Washington and you know, get with all of your colleagues, what do you plan to take back with you to your country, and what are your goals and your plans in terms of what you want to implement as an entrepreneur?
Really, I think the most important thing I'm going to take home is going to be the networking, because you get to meet a lot of people. They have different profiles that you can jointly make something different. Right now, I'm not an entrepreneur, but I hope my manager is not watching right now, but when I go back, one thing I'm planning to do is to start up a business, because I've been encouraged here to always try to do something different from the one that you are doing, like doing a venture always. As an entrepreneur, you have to do ventures and be able to invest on something that is really going to work. You work it out from the beginning, you have a proper plan, and then you implement it as well. I work for the oil and gas sector for a major company right now, and I'm thinking that when I go home, I will be able to have the opportunity to start a business and be in the entrepreneurial environment as well.
Great. Well, those sound like great plans, and I know that you'll do just fine.
I hope so, and I think I'm going to do fine.
Great. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much for hosting us. It has been a great opportunity for us to be here.
You're welcome. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Potpourri. We hope you enjoyed the show. Have a great day.